Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video, as you can tell from the title, I am going to be sharing with you guys how I became a special needs mom. Okay, now for those that don't know, or for those that are seeing this beautiful face for the first time, I am a mom to a 6-year-old special needs child, and on this channel I have promised to share her story and what happened and how it became that way for a very long time. And today I'm finally sharing my story. Okay, so if that sounds like something that you want to listen to, something that you want to watch, then please subscribe to my channel and let's get into the video. Okay, welcome back guys. If you watched my last vlog, you would have seen my daughter Trinity in that vlog, and I know over and over I have said on this channel that I have a special needs child. I did share her birth story on African Stories Untold, a channel here on YouTube. I'll leave a link to that channel in the description box so you can watch that. But today, this is the first time that I am sharing Trinity's birth story officially on this channel, and everything that basically transpired and everything that happened that made me become a special needs mom today. Okay, now this is going to be an emotional video, so just please excuse me if I have to take some moments to breathe and everything. Now let me start from where it started. Trinity's pregnancy was my first pregnancy, and everything from the pregnancy was fine. Everything was good. There was no single issue at all. Like, it was so smooth and so beautiful that I kept like, why do people always say that pregnancy is stressful? Because Trinity's pregnancy for me was just beautiful. Everything was nice. I attended all my antenatals. I never missed my antenatals. I never missed my antenatal drugs. As a matter of fact, I wanted to do everything right. So when it came to my diet, I was making sure I was eating enough fruits, enough veggies, enough calcium. Everything was just right. I was just doing everything right. And on the day of my delivery, I was induced because the baby was due and I didn't have natural labor, and they said that's normal for first timers. So I was induced to deliver, and she was due. I was actually induced a day to the father's birthday. So I was just like, oh, beautiful, she's going to be the same day with her dad and all of that. But later on in the day, the labor wasn't progressing, and the doctor came and said, your baby is not going to be born on your husband's birthday, sorry, it's going to have to be tomorrow because the way the labor is progressing. And I was like, okay, fine, no problem. And we fast forward into the labor. In the middle of the night, the contractions were mad, but the nurses kept telling my husband that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, when the real labor starts, you will know. Your wife is still talking. Like, when the real labor starts, she's not going to be talking. And in my head, I'm imagining, like, how is it going to be? How is it going to get any more painful than this? Because at that point, I was already losing it. At that point, I was like, how bad can it be? And like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning, which was already from the previous day, because my labor started 11 a.m. on the previous day. So this was like 5 a.m. the following day, and that was when I was beginning to scream that I want to give birth. I want to give birth. I feel like this baby is pushing me. And the nurses kept screaming, please don't push, and all of that. And when they came to check me up, and they were like, okay, yes, you're 10 cm dilated now. It's time to get into the labor room and deliver and everything. And basically the delivery went smooth. She came out, she cried, she weighed 3.2 kg, she was beautiful. Everything was just perfect. I was just happy that my first baby, my first delivery, everything went well. I didn't even have a tear. Like, I didn't have an episiotomy done to me at all. There was nothing. The nurses just kept telling me, you did so well for a first timer. It doesn't seem like you're a first timer. Everything. It was just beautiful. I was just happy. And I and my husband were together through the entire process. We just kept looking at our baby girl, like, finally we're parents and everything. And that was it. And the doctors came later and they were like, madam, how are you feeling? I said, I'm fine. If I can be discharged today, I don't even mind. And they were like, okay, no, you will not be discharged today because we need you to rest and we need to watch you, so we're going to discharge you tomorrow. And I was like, okay, fine, no problem, let me be discharged tomorrow. And then in the morning they came, they immunized her, and yeah, we were discharged basically, then they pierced her ears. I remember one of the nurses that was piercing her ears saying, "Oh, matron, come and see this child. Is this, her eyes are not clear, her eyes are not white." And the matron came and said, "Oh no, it's nothing to worry about. Her dad's eyes are not even pure white in the first place, so just let her be." And I didn't think anything about it. I'm a first-time mom. I really didn't know anything about a newborn. I didn't know if eyes should be clear. I had never had jaundice in my life. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what to expect and all of that. So we were discharged and we went home. And at the time, there was nobody with me. My mom wasn't there. My mother-in-law wasn't there. So it was just I and my husband. And I managed to bath the baby and everything. And a few days later, my mom came. And my mom was like, "Is this girl not jaundiced?" I'm like, "What is jaundice?" He said, "The eyes are a bit yellow." So I put a phone call through to my doctor and I was like, "This is what my mom noticed." And this was 4 days after I had delivered. And my doctor said, "Okay, it is physiological jaundice. It should clear, within 7 days or within 12 days. Just go and get her antibiotics and everything will be fine." My husband went to the pharmacy, we got the antibiotics, we gave her, and that was it. And we just believed everything was fine. So by the next day in the morning, which was making her 5 days old, I tried to breastfeed her, but she wasn't taking it. So I just told my mom, "This girl is not sucking. I don't understand what's happening." My mom said, "Bring her." The minute I gave her to my mother, she just jerked. Like, I remember her jerking. And I'm like, "Blood of Jesus." My mom just screamed, "Jesus." Like, what is going on? What's happening? Mommy said she doesn't know. And then I'm like, "Okay, give her to me." She gives her to me, then she jerks again. And then once she jerks, I just see the white eyes. I'm like, what is going on? I just kept shouting, "Jesus." I didn't even understand what was going on because I'm like, I just gave birth. Like, my girl, everything is fine with my girl. I don't want to imagine that my baby is not fine or something is going wrong somewhere. I just don't want to imagine it. And we were all scared. My husband came into the room and we were all praying. We were scared. I remember I picked up the phone and I called our doctor and I said, "The baby is jerking. I'm seeing the white eyes. I don't know what's happening." And he said, "Bring her to the hospital right now." At that point, I knew something serious was happening. I just knew something was happening, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know where my emotions were. I was just weeping. I was crying. My husband was crying. Our emotions were just all over the place. We tried to get a taxi, and it was like that day. You know how something is happening and everything is just going wrong at the same time. The entire traffic in Lagos that day was just gathered on the road that we were supposed to use in taking this girl to the hospital. The taxis we were stopping didn't want to stop because they were scared. They didn't know if the baby was already dead. And then we finally got one that just had mercy on us, basically. And we said, "Okay, this is what's happening. Rush us to the hospital," and all of that. The driver was just exceptional. He kept telling all the drivers on the traffic, "This baby needs to get to the hospital, please, please, please." And he was doing everything he could, using all the shortcuts he could. At that point, I was just looking at my baby and I was weeping. I didn't understand what was going on. Like, I just gave birth 5 days ago. She was perfect. Everything was good. What is happening? I don't understand. She gets. And we're finally able to get to the hospital. But before we got to the hospital, every pothole that the car got into, she would just have this stuff again. I had no idea that was convulsion because I had never seen a newborn convulse. I've never even seen a child convulse, let alone a newborn. So I didn't know it was convulsion. By the time we got to the hospital, the doctors took her from me and they said, "Your baby is convulsing, your baby is jaundiced." I'm like, from where? Where is all this coming from? What's going on? Like, I don't understand. They just took her from me. I stood there. I could see them battling over her. They removed all her clothes. It was just remaining diaper. They turned on this AC to try to bring down her temperature. They were just doing a lot and I still didn't understand it. They sent me, "Okay, go to the pharmacy, get this drug, get that injection." Before you know it, they are taking us to a room. They gave her some injections and then they fixed a drip. And that was it. Like, my little girl went into a coma straight. She was there, she was breathing, but she wasn't moving, she wasn't doing anything, her eyes were closed. At that point, I could feel my entire life crumbling before my eyes. I just had this little girl. She was perfect. there's nothing wrong with her. And 5 days later, we're here in the hospital. She's in a coma. She's just wearing her diaper, looking helpless. And there was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could do to help her. And I just brought her into this world. And that coma lasted for 5 days. That was the hardest 5 days of my life. Every morning they will come and check her because she was in this phototherapy machine. They will come and check her, take her vitals, take blood samples, run tests and all of that. And it was just crazy. I remember the morning she woke up from the coma. It was like 4 a.m. in the morning or 5 a.m. in the morning. And she woke up and she opened her eyes because I wasn't sleeping for these 5 days. I just sat next to the machine she was placed in. And all I did was just pray there. I wasn't eating, I wasn't doing anything. My husband would come, stay with us, then go back home again. It was just crazy. I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink, I couldn't do anything. And my feet were swollen. The doctors were kind of worried about my health. I'm like, I don't care about my health at this point. I just want my baby to be fine. And that morning she woke up, I screamed. I called the doctors and I was like, you guys, my baby is up, doctor, my baby is up, but she's not crying. And the doctor is like, Joy, calm down, your baby is fine. And he took her and, you know, he held her feet and just tapped like pam, pam, pam. And then she started crying and he's like, you wanted her to cry. She's crying now, so go ahead and breastfeed her. And I just started crying as well. Thank you, Jesus. She's finally awake. And I thought that was the end. I honestly thought everything was over. But I had no idea what had just started. So that morning, they ran all sorts of tests on her. And they told us we were going to be discharged the next day, that the jaundice had cleared from her system and she was much, much better. And we were discharged the next day. 2 weeks later, we had to come back for checkup. They checked her and everything was fine. And we were just okay. But at about 8 weeks old, I noticed that her iris were low. I could only see the white eyes and I was worried. So I went back to the hospital and I said, what is wrong with her eyes? And the doctor said, the convulsion happened when she was still very, very young, very tender, and that's what caused the eyes to be like that. Just calm down. It's not a problem. It will clear as she's growing. Guys, it will clear as she's growing was almost a year before her eyes were looking normal. I shared a picture on Instagram recently that she was about 5 months old there and her eyes were visibly a problem. And it was so tough to deal with. So at about 4 months, I noticed when I placed her to sit, she doesn't want to sit. Like she was not sitting. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't think it was cerebral palsy. I didn't think there was anything wrong with my child. So I took my child to the hospital. I met a pediatrician who examined her and said, Madam, I am sorry, the jaundice and the convulsion she had at 5 days old affected her brain, and so your baby has what we call cerebral palsy. My world just crumbled. Instantly, it dawned on me that you are about to have a special needs child. You're about to have a disabled child. You're going to have to live as a disabled child's mom. And that was a hard pill to swallow. I went to that consultation alone. I didn't go with my husband. And now I was wondering how I'm going to get home and break the news to my husband that our baby girl has issues. It was so tough. When I got home, I tried to tell my husband this is what the pediatrician said, but they said her case is okay and it is mild. She just needs a couple of physiotherapy sessions and she'll be fine. And honestly, guys, I believed that was what it was. I just believed she was going to have a couple of physiotherapy sessions and my daughter would be fine. I just believed that. I lived in that. Okay, so when it was time for her physio sessions, I took her for physio sessions and massage her like this, do this at home, do that at home. I was doing everything. I basically stopped everything in my life to take care of Trinity, believing that it was just something that was going to pass. You know, at a point, I didn't want to even use the word cerebral palsy. I didn't want to use the word disability or disabled. I didn't want to see my child that way. I never want to see my child that way. And it was hard, like really, really hard for me. She didn't sit until she was about a year old, and It was so frustrating. I kept doing everything and anything. I kept reading stuff online. I kept watching videos. I kept, researching best ways to make her be okay. I just felt this thing will pass. It's not something I'm going to live with. I kept telling myself, I'm not going to be a special needs mom. I'm not going to be a special needs mom. This thing is going to pass. And when she was close to 2 years, we had to employ a private physiotherapist that was coming home, because we were told that would give her a better chance of being okay. A private physiotherapist comes more often than when you have to go to the hospital. And that's when everything became clear. It became really, really clear that I have a special needs child. She's not going to be like every other kids. She's not going to walk when her mates are working. She's not going to talk when her mates are talking. She's not going to live life just like every other child. And it was so hard for me. It was so hard for me to accept. It's still hard for me to accept till date. But in the beginning stages, it was so tough. I didn't want to accept it. I didn't take it. I prayed for days. I fasted. I cried to God to just make her whole. Just make her okay. Let this pass. This is not for me. This is not for my child. This is not our story. This is not the end. Something is going to happen. And I still believe that till date. She's 6 now, and she's only started to walk after her 6th birthday in March. And it's very, very tough, because it almost made us not have other children, because I felt like having other kids just meant you're moving on, like you're leaving her and you're moving on. And when we finally had the sister, I sat like 3 months. She was already sitting. She walked at 8 months, and it just brought back all those feelings that I couldn't have with Trinity. And till date, it's still very, very painful. Till date, I'm still very hopeful. I still believe that Trinity is going to live the best of life. We still go through physiotherapy. It's expensive, it's exhausting, but it's our best bet to helping her move, to helping her do stuff. But it's been one hell of a ride being a special needs mom. I finally accept that name, because I can't wipe it off. And I find special needs mom reaching out to me every day and wanting to know how I do it, what I do. And I just feel like, you know what, there's no point running away from me. There's no point shying away from it. You might as well just do the best that you can, and also help other moms overcome this thing. And that's my story. That's how Trinity became a special needs child, like from jaundice, convulsing at 5 days old, and today we're here. It's tough. It is painful. It's overwhelming. When you see children her age, I just feel like Trinity should have been like this now. Trinity should have been talking like this now. Trinity could have been doing this, and it just brings you back to how everything started and all of that, and you get overwhelmed again. Trust me, there are days when I weep so bad for her, and then there are days when I am so strong. I'm like, no matter what, you're going to be fine. You're going to live the best of life. You're going to live life the way God has created you to live life. And that's just basically it, because there are some things that you can't change. Cerebral palsy is an injury to some parts of the brain, and while they are still babies, you don't get to discover how much damage or how much the injury to the brain has done to them. But when they start growing and you see certain milestones that they're not hitting, or certain movements that they're having issues with, it then becomes very, very clear to you as in the extent to which the damage went. Okay, cerebral palsy is not a disease. It is not contagious in any way. It is not a plague, and it's just a condition. And I feel like people need to be enlightened about it. And if you're watching this video, you have a special needs child, the best thing you can do for your child is have a positive mindset. The best thing you can do for your child is be there for them, love them regardless. Don't treat them like anything is wrong with them. Treat them like they don't have any problem, because they don't have problems. And one thing about special needs children is that they're always very, very happy. Okay, they're always very, very happy. And find a way to just be happy with your child and give them the best that you can. I hope this story inspires somebody. I hope this story encourages somebody. I just needed to share this story on this channel because you guys will be seeing more of me, more of Trinity, you know, my family, and just put it out there so you guys know how it all started. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments in the comment section. And please subscribe to my channel so you will never ever miss my videos. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you all in my next video.